start. Thanks for coming, everyone. This is Grant. He's the Vice President of Campus Service. So
take it away. All right. So, hey everyone. If you don't know me, I'm a junior in the department. I'm the Vice President of the Campus Weather Service, as well as a bunch of other things, but let's just get this started here. And this is a disclaimer. I'm kind of struggling with this trackpad here, so if you get a little frustrated with me going back and forth, it's just because I'm struggling with this computer a little bit. So just some headlines heading into this. To start, climatology here at State College for today is we usually have an average high of 40 and an average low of 23. So it's been a little bit warm the past few days, but we're kind of sticking onto the cooler side, as we'll see here in a second. Yesterday's marginal threat over the southeastern portion of the state, as well as a good portion of the mid-Atlantic, actually over the DC area, which is where I'm from, didn't really pan out as much as anticipated. We'll take a quick look at that because I found that interesting. We're going to see temperatures below average to start the weekend with some more dry air, but then by the end of the weekend and into early next week, we're going to get right back above average and probably have a shot at least the upper 50s by the beginning and middle of next week. And our pattern is going to remain fairly unsettled through that period, and we'll take a quick look at that. So, heading on over to what things currently look like and yesterday. So, taking a look at what the SPC's day one convective outlook was for yesterday's squall line that ended up coming through Pennsylvania. You can see at their 1630Z update, they had a marginal over a good portion of southeastern and a bit of eastern Pennsylvania, and that made its way all the way down into the middle of Virginia. And in terms of, there was really no tornado potential according to them, but they did have a nice 5% damaging wind probability over the area that they said there was going to be a marginal risk of severe weather. And in terms of how they verified, you can see there was actually only 4 reports of damaging winds, which is, not really all that surprising to me, considering it was one of those classic mid-Atlantic winter convective situations where you have very low CAPE, CAPE that's on an order of 100 to 200 joules per kilogram, if that, but very high wind shear. And again, we had a situation similar to last time where we had a low pressure that was deepening to the north of the area that they had the marginal risk over, like we did, I think that was 2 or so weeks back, and they actually had 4 or 5 tornado reports in Maryland. So similar situation, but this time I think they knew the threat was going to be more straight line winds than any tornado potential, but again, only 4 wind reports from this, and most of these 2 in Culpeper and Orange counties in Virginia they were in a severe thunderstorm warning, so the warning verified, but these 2 were kind of isolated. And if you read all the reports, it was just for an isolated down tree branch in the middle of a roadway. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see that we actually got hail here. I was on the way home walking from the Bryce Jordan Center, and my hand started stinging, and I was like, oh, I guess it's hailing or sleeting or doing something. So we did see some hail from the squall line that did make its way through. Taking a look at current temperatures across the Commonwealth right now, and here's me being finicky with the touchpad. You can see that in terms of what we're doing across central Pennsylvania, really not a whole lot of disparity in terms of the temperature. Definitely warmer in the southeastern portion, and the further east you go in Pennsylvania, it's warmer. But in terms of what the wind's looking like, relatively uniform. It's pretty windy out there. If you haven't been outside already, it's pretty blustery, and it's a cold day out there. We're way below average here in State College. As I said, the average high is 40, and right now it's 27 at the airport. Taking a quick look at what the PIREPs look like over the northeastern United States. I'm actually going to be doing work at the Aviation Weather Center this summer, so that's why I'm plugging this website a little bit. But I really like looking at the PIREPs because it's cool to see what they're experiencing up in the sky while we're experiencing it being really windy down there. It's like, oh God, what do they have to deal with up there? So you can see there's a low level wind shear here over State College. They're having to deal with plus or minus 10 knot gains on approaches to the runway. That's not fun as a pilot. That means they're losing airspeed right as you're supposed to land is not a fun experience. You see all these turbulence reports. When I was looking at this earlier today, there was actually probably 4 or 5 more severe turbulence, the red triangle-looking symbols along the East Coast, but it looks like those have died down a little bit. More low-level wind shear associated with the low deepening way off to our north. So taking a quick look at what the temperature is here at the Walker Building, you see it's about 26 here, not much different than the airport. We currently have winds coming out of the west at 11 miles an hour, and our wind chill is 13. It's pretty cold outside. My hands froze to death because I was carrying my lunchbox from the Red Link, so that wasn't fun. Taking a look at what our temperature has done over the past day and our dew point, you can see we have had definitely an air mass change, considering our dew point yesterday was in the low to mid 40s, and now it's way down below 20 in the teens, and same thing with our temperature. Our temperature is tanked over that time period as well, and you can also see that correlates really nicely with how our pressures drop through that period, but then of course it's again on the rise. So taking a quick look at why it's so windy, I was looking at the sounding from Dulles this morning and realized that, so this sounding was taken at 12Z, and that's 7 o'clock local time, and I was like, why are they mixing so well at that early in the morning? Like it struck me really odd that that's basically dry adiabatic up to past 850. And I really couldn't figure out a reason for this. I looked at the 5-minute obs and just saw that basically in the middle of the night they started getting 40-mile-an-hour winds. They were gusting up to 50, and then they started getting sustained down to 30. So I don't know what role that played or what they were doing, but if you go look through the obs page here, you kind of see a similar picture. I'm not sure how we're mixing here, but you're getting these, obviously, like you have these wind gusts that are, the sustained wind aloft is a lot higher, and you're mixing down some of those higher winds, and you're seeing that here too with, looks like our highest gust here was in the mid-40s throughout the morning. So I thought that was another interesting thing I saw from here. Now just taking a quick look at what it looks like at 500 millibars from the SVC mesoanalysis page, you can see that we have a deepening low way off to our north over in Canada. It's already closed. Trough starting to swing off to our east, and you can see there's definitely a ridge starting to build over the west, and we're going to take a quick look at what that means for our weather for the next few days. So taking a quick look at, this is where it might get finicky again, take a quick look at what the GFS has for 500 millibar heights and vorticity over the next few days. Let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay. So you can see it has that low way off to our north, occluding, deepening. Not really our problem after today. Heading into early weekend into Friday afternoon, you can see it meets its demise, and we have this ridge starting to build over the western and middle part of the United States. By Saturday and Sunday, you can see that we do have, it looks like a trough making its way through the eastern half of the United States. Definitely going to be on the cold side, we'll see here in a second, on Saturday, warming up on Sunday. And we're going to see also with that, we're going to have our dew points tank again entering our weekend. I know it was really dry last weekend with dew points in the single digits, and we're going to see that again real quick. Then as we head off into the later half of our Sunday, we're going to warm up quite nicely again. We're going to get we should get above average on Sunday. You're going to see we're going to have a little bit of a ridge built in by the end of the weekend. And then as we head off into our Monday, the GFS, you're going to see we might have maybe some kind of little shortwave feature. I think it's more pronounced on the Euro, which we'll see here in a second. And you can see that we have a trough coming over from the west, deepening, which actually might lead by the middle of next week into a severe weather threat for Dixie Alley and southeastern portion of the United States. So let's just take a quick look at the Euro here for a second, just to compare what we saw on the GFS. And you're going to see relatively the same picture. We have that low to our north going off, weakening. Then by the early part of our Saturday here, you're going to see that we might have another trough make its way through here with that ridge building in the middle of the United States at 500 millibars. Then by our Sunday, it making its way in here. It's going to warm up pretty nicely, as we'll see here in a second. With that, we have that trough starting to come through California in time for the middle of our week. But then by Monday, you can see a little bit better here. Maybe the short wave that makes its way through here, which will result in rain, which we'll see here in 1 second. So taking a quick look at what our rain looks like here. Let's just zoom in to northeast. Okay, so taking a quick look at precip rate and type. Heading off into the next few days, you can see that for it looks like our Friday, we're going to remain dry here, if you want to believe the Euro. Definitely some lake effect in northwestern parts of the state, maybe north central parts of the state, making it Euro, suggesting that it will linger into the early morning hours into Saturday. But by Sunday, looking to remain clear as we have that ridge build in, and then by Monday morning we have rains entering western portions of the state, and then by evening time and into early Tuesday, that rain kind of making its way through central portions, exiting, and then also having a wet Tuesday as well. And by Wednesday, we saw that trough deepening way to our south, it bringing us rain late Wednesday into early Thursday. But maybe a chance for some back-end snow, if you want to believe the Euro. So taking a quick look at temperatures here, heading into our weekend, you're going to see that followed by a quick cold period. So by tomorrow morning, temperatures in the teen for for a majority of the state, temperatures in the mid to upper 20s for southeastern portions of the state. By the middle of tomorrow afternoon, probably remaining at or below freezing for about 2/3 of the Commonwealth, with our southeast portion, of course, remaining on the warm side like it normally does. And then by Saturday, late into Friday night into Saturday morning, pretty much the same picture, probably definitely on the cooler side on Saturday morning. Let's just take a quick sounding here and see what it has in terms of cloud cover. Pretty cloudy, so a little bit surprising it gets that low, but I guess we're cold advecting pretty well into that time period. You can see we have at the surface a 10-knot wind from the west, so we must be bringing those cooler temperatures into that time frame. So then heading into our Sunday, you're going to see that by Sunday afternoon we warm up pretty well here into the 40s, so right around average, not above average, right around average for here, and 40s for a majority of the state. And I bet we take a sounding quickly right here from the European model. Yep, definitely don't have to worry about any cloud cover until the mid-levels. And then that also reminds me here, I want to take a quick look at what our dew point's going to be doing heading into the weekend, because I know when I stepped outside last Saturday, my nose instantly started hurting from how dry the air was. And it looks like we're going to have, unfortunately, a similar picture happening here. I just got to put it like this. Okay, here we go. So heading into our Friday, let's see how it's actually doing right now. So we can just take 18C temperature. The dew point's about 10. What's it? Right about now, 14, so it's a little bit on the dry side if you want to compare it to what it is at the Walker Building. I know it's not exactly 18Z either. So then heading into our weekend, you're going to see that by tomorrow afternoon, maybe our dew point making a run at close to 0 here in central Pennsylvania. And into our Saturday, maybe getting up a little bit less dry, getting into the double digits, but then of course by Saturday afternoon getting a lot lower in the single digits. So regardless, this is a picture that's showing us that we have very dry air ahead for the beginning part of our weekend, and into Sunday too. The Euro wants to keep that dry air in place. But then by the beginning of our week, when we see that rain come through, those warmer temperatures, you're going to see that dew point go back up to where we saw it values comparable to yesterday. So actually something that's kind of interesting to note here is that if you take a look at what the GFS has for temperatures heading into the next week and compare it to the Euro, they're actually kind of off. And by off, I mean they're very different. So if you look at what the GFS has for the high on Monday here, if you want the high to be at 18Z, it has a temperature of 43 here at UNB. So then if you look at what the Euro has, it's going to have a temperature. Oh, it must have not been. Oh, is this a later run actually? Yeah. So I was looking at the 0Z run earlier, but I guess the new 12Z came in, and it actually had a temperature that was in the 50s. So I was like, what is going on here? Like, why are they so different? I know that on, wow, this run is definitely much cooler. So in fact, I can just prove that by switching over to 0. Yeah. So this run originally came in. Yeah, Monday 18th, it was in much warmer than the GFS. It looks like it's getting closer to what the GFS has now. But the 0Z run had it in the 50s, and I was like, man, what is going on? Like, what does it have it so much different? And if you look at Tuesday, same picture, like, it is getting close to, let's see, a little bit cooler on Tuesday, I guess, but there we go, it was Wednesday. Wednesday it has in the mid-60s here. I was like, man, why is it so warm compared to what the GFS doesn't have anything close to this. I can show you that in a second, but I determined that it had temperatures to our south and southwest much warmer than the GFS. Like in this area right here, it had temperatures that were in the mid to low 50s. Let's see. Here we go. So heading into, so it has temperatures in the 60s along this portion of the, I guess you're just east of the Appalachians at that point. Then the mountains are right here, and then if we take, and then compared to the GFS had like 48 there. So I guess we're more strongly, you're having stronger warm advection, if you want to believe this, compared to what the GFS had at that time frame. Like we go quickly to the same time frame, you're going to see that it was much cooler. There you go, 18Z, same time, temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. So of course we're not able to pull in as much warm air. The air is not much warmer than it is here. It's within 10 degrees, so you're not going to be able to warm it back as much air as you would compared to the Euro solution. So heading into, it looks like the 12Z model has caved a little bit to the GFS in terms of temperatures being cooler than they were on the 0Z run. So taking a quick look into Monday and Tuesday, it looks like temperatures, again, the high right around average, I guess, with the southeastern portion of the state being in the mid-50s. I bet if we clicked on a sounding here, we're covered in clouds. Yep, not really a shocker there. Heading into Tuesday, again, temperature staying slightly above average, it looks like. And again, I guess we're stuck in clouds, unfortunately, while this looks like while western portions of the state are seeing some more sun. So just to quickly recap what we went over quickly, taking a look at the meteogram generator, it gives you, I love this because it gives you a nice display of pretty much how both GFS and NAM MOS, and then GFS, the NAM and the NAM 4K are compared to each other. And I like it because it gives you a nice spread. Like, I don't take the values for face value, it's more of just a comparison tool. So taking a look at the hourly temperature forecast, you're going to see, looks like we're going to reach, we're probably going to have equally as cold temperatures on Friday morning and Saturday morning before, and maybe Sunday morning too, but probably these are going to be our two coldest mornings before we see a nice uptick in temperatures heading into next week, as looks like our winds are going to shift from the south, bringing some warmer air. In terms of what our high is going to be for Saturday and Sunday, as I said, the average high here for end of February and into early March is about 41, 42. The high starts going up relatively, the climatological high goes up relatively quickly as we get into that March sun angle. So it being 41, it doesn't stay for 41 very long, but you can see that we're going to probably stay below average. It's probably safe to say we're going to stay below average through Saturday and maybe Sunday. Probably not Sunday, we'll probably be right around average. Taking a look at what our dew point's going to do, you're going to see probably going to reach a minimum into Saturday, Sunday before, late Sunday, we're going to see it go back up. So we're going to have another dry air mass heading into this weekend. Finally, let's just take a quick look at MOS. Let's just take a quick look at the GFS extended MOS guidance. So heading into Saturday and Sunday, of course, our high on Saturday being way below average, close to average, above average on Sunday. Heading into Monday and Tuesday, on the warmer side. Interesting that the operational GFS and the GFS MOS are a little bit different on the high. This was closer to what the 0Z Euro had, right? With the temperatures being in the 50s, and then on Tuesday, on Tuesday, I think it was in the low 50s, and on Wednesday it was in the 60s. So a little bit of disagreement, but I know that I think at this point in the forecast, MOS is pretty heavily weighed on climatology, so I would take it not as seriously as maybe so this portion. So yeah, I think that's everything. If anyone has any questions, any comments, anything they want to see, what's up?
I think it was a great point with the sounding that we were looking at before, as to the fact that the lapse rate was pretty close to dragging back
from here
in the morning. And I noticed looking at the wind field that the winds are stronger aloft compared to the surface. So I was wondering if there's any kind of differential temperature advection that might be taking place there, and perhaps you're advecting those 850 millibar temperatures that are lower more quickly compared to the temperatures of the surface, and as a result, you're steepening the lapse rate as a result.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I did not even think of that at all. I could definitely see that being a reason why you were so steep that early in the morning, because the sun hasn't been up for very long at that point, if it's even been up at that point. So I think you nailed it on the head right there.
Isn't that column, it's hard for me to, there's a column there with blue and red
right here.
rectangles.
Yeah.
Isn't that temperature advection?
Yeah, it is.
So
it looks
blue
like,
is cold advection.
Yeah.
And so, to the extent to which that is correct and not being derived from thermal wind principles or something, which it very well might be, that has cold advection
over a layer of warm.
Over a layer of warm
Yeah.
advection. Is that what you were referring
Yeah,
to, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, can see with the red bars on the right and the blue bars on the left there, so it certainly does appear to be some kind of differential temperature advection as well, looking at those bars.
That's a good point. Cool.
Just out of curiosity, you spent a lot of time at the beginning talking about the marginal risk yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what marginal risk means as defined by the Storm Prediction
Yeah, we
Center.
can go look that up real fast.
It must have a numerical definition, like one severe weather report within 50, I don't know what it is.
So I think that's based off the probabilities. So the fact that they had a 5% damaging wind gust, they had to have a marginal.
So, I mean, but there is a radius. 5% means,
I think it's 5.
It's that graphic right there.
it's probably on
That's just not in
there. I
English.
can't read that.
Yeah.
I
Alright,
think
hold
it's
on.
the first half of that graphic.
I'm struggling with this. Just
Yeah, first half.
This-
But that is not the-
no, there's
So,
percentages. I've
it
seen them.
doesn't have a number.
No, I can find. I think.
I'm just curious because we use these words and no one ever says what they mean.
I've seen it here before. There's a nice tool.
Grant,
Yep.
if you do a Google Images search on the SPC Outlook table, one of the first results has the percent dat that.
There we go. So we had a 5% win, so that's where the marginal came from.
Yeah, still doesn't answer my question, which is, does that, for verification purposes,
Oh, if they verified with the.
when they say marginal, what would verify? I mean, it just seems to me that if they're using these words, there should be a quantitative way to verify them, so at the end of the day, you could say, hey, we were right or we weren't.
That's true.
And the 5% still isn't doing it for me.
So the
Yeah, it doesn't-
The probability of wind gusts at 50 knots or higher within a 25-mile radius.
Of any point.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're within, okay,
So they verified based on that criteria, right? Because they had.
There were false scores.
Well, yeah, we can check the. I think
Yeah, all the probabilities are within 25 miles.
That's what was mine.
Wind speed on
The general marginal up through high is basically the summary of all the other subtypes of the tornado. That's mine.
right, because the marginal is referring to all severe weather. So it's an accumulation of everything that happens.
I guess they had the conversion table right here. That's funny. But yeah.
Go back to the word, I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah, go for it. And here?
A marginal, no, go to the top, the word,
Yep.
a marginal. It doesn't,
That's just
Well,
like.
there's like the probabilistic stuff in the fifth paragraph.
25 miles of precipitation.
Okay, but that doesn't tie into
having
marginal.
15% probability means 15 times the normal odds of a tornado nearby.
Right, if you go to the regular like day one outlook and look at the tornado and subsections, it'll tell you that it's the probability of so and so within 25 miles.
Just the today's day
Just a
one.
regular, and go to one of the subsets. And looking down at the bottom.
Ah, right here.
Yeah.
So for the wind, it would be what you said.
So verify that there's some places we're not.
So a 5% probability of damaging wind within 25 miles of a point.
So you would take the short
So-
logic of the risk area.
Right, if you wanted to translate that into how many severe weather reports does that actually mean, I guess we could do the math.
See if they verified or not. But yeah, as I said, like, I know that for a fact these two were associated with severe thunderstorm warning. So you can just take that one for whatever you think. All right.
Thanks for coming, everyone, this week. So next week we'll have John Bainoff from National Weather Service State College for your thing. So I hope to see you all same time next week.
Thank you.